It's a blood clot vibes, yes, family, large up yourself, big up yourself. It's the hostess with the most, the selector, Sela Shaloms on the 1 and 2. You know how we do. It's a vibes. It's a blood clot vibes. Large up yourself, big up yourself. Blood clot vibes. Go to our commercial break.
Bitter Sweet Herbals, where the taste is bitter, but the results are sweet. BitterSweetHerbals.com.
Run the rhythm.
Bitter Sweet Herbals, where the taste is bitter, but the results are sweet. BitterSweetHerbals.com.
Yes, family, make sure to get your bitters. You're done now. Make sure to get your blood clot bitters. You want to get into it. It's a vibe. It's a blood clot vibe. Yes, family, peace, love, and light. All praises to the ever-present Creator. You know what I mean? The past, present, and the future. All is and never shall be. Not in the image of man or woman, but in all space, occupying everywhere at the same time, is our Creator. It's a blood clot vibes. It's a blood clot vibes, yes, family. I see the fam chiming in. I see the fam chiming in. Elizabeth, I see you. Donis, I see you. Donnie. Chief, I see you. Malachi McAfee in the building chiming in. Make sure to subscribe, like, to Honor and Humility. He just gave a powerful chop session. You dig? Yes, family. As we get this thing together, It's some blood clot vibes. Gang. It's a blood clot vibes. I see the family chiming in. Peace to the Creator Gang. Give me your vortex in the chat. Give me your vortex in the chat. Oh, my Creator Gang family, give me your vortex in the chat. The vortex is the symbol of the Creator. You know what I mean? The vortex symbolizes the past, present, and future. The vortex symbolizes the circle, no beginning, no end, consistent currency, forever generating on its own axis. Creator Gang. Where the vortex at? I see you, family. See you chiming in. Peace to the Creator Gang. You know what I mean? Since Paul is such a hot topic, we on the neck of Paul today. Again, shout out to the Creator Gang. You know what I mean? We doing this 30-day challenge, this 30-day fast, fruits and vegetables only. You know what I mean? If y'all ain't hip, y'all can join in. We a couple of days in so far, feeling good, feeling great. Keep that thing going. Keep it platinum, vortex, that's right. You know what I mean? It's a blood clot vibes. So you see the topic we're going to touch on. You know what I mean? Malachi Maccabee been going hard at Paul all year. You know what I mean? The Nazarene editions, check it out. Honor, humility. You know what I'm saying? So since he a hot topic, you know what I mean? We on Paul ass right now because, you know, you got a lot of Israelites and a lot of Christians following the words of Paul as if they're scripture. Not knowing for us, he a damn agent. You know what I mean? Once you really start to realize what was going on in the first century with the hostility between Paul and the followers of Yeshua being the brothers, James and all that, you know what I'm saying? We're going to show a little bit of the hostility. We're going to show a little bit. This I'm going to have to do a part 2 to this. Actually, I didn't even finish this. But I just wanted to get it out, you know what I mean? So I'll just do a part 2 when I come to the end of part. And I'll just continue on, get some more information. Hopefully my brother Malachi Maccabee will help me out. Hey, matter of fact, I got that statement in here, man. I was trying to look for the quote talking about, Acts 9:5, and talking about, is it hard for thee to kick against the pricks? I was looking for the actual Greek philosopher's statement of that, but it's all good because it's just a quick, fast pass up in the joint. You know what I mean? So we're going to get to it in a second. Let a couple more people chime in. You know what I'm saying? Let them chime in. Let the vibe rock out. Let them chime in for a minute. Hit that ether. Hit that ether. We in the cosmos with it. You know what I mean? Y'all heard about the 12-tribe chart? Coming from the European standpoint. Now let me show it on this channel. I think think I emailed it to myself so I can have a chart. See if I got it. Oh, yeah, there you go, right there. It's a blood clot vibes. Oh well. Yeah, so you know what I mean, we're gonna go in and on Paul for a little while. You know what I mean, I'm gonna put a mix a little bit of OSP in there, you know how we do. You know what I'm saying? Because the way Paul was inspired is just so suspect, you know what I'm saying, to the ordinary ways of how the Hebrews was doing things, you know what I'm saying? Nigga never met Yeshua. Hostile against the brothers of Yeshua. Started preaching his own doctrine, started professing things that you don't have to do in the Torah. You ain't got to get circumcised. You ain't got to abstain from meat, which were things that the brothers was doing. See what I'm saying? The things that the brother was doing. Hey, Nelly, what verse is it when James tell Paul to circumcise? What verse that is in the John? What verse is when James tell Paul to circumcise? When they had that meeting in Acts. Let me see here. Yeah. Nonetheless. Hey. It's a blood clot vibes. Yes, Eric Messiah. Lodge up yourself, big up yourself, yeah? We're gonna get a little more people chime in before we get started. Yeah. Hold up, I got it right here. Yeah, we about to go in on Paul, family. We on Paul ass. All this goddamn what? Damn near year. Well, Mally been on him all year. We just been on him with the tail end of this shit. So we on his ass right now. Exposing he a fraud. He ain't who he say he is. So he an Herodian. Undercover op for Rome. All right. We'll get to it in a second. You know what I mean? Let's get it. Iman in the building. I see you, sis. All right. It's a blood clot vibes. Yes, family. People chiming in. We at 25. Make sure to hit them likes. Make sure to hit them likes when y'all come in. You know what I mean? Make sure to hit them likes. Make sure to hit them likes before we get started. Yes, family. Yes, family. We move as a unit, you know. We move as a unit, one body, one family. Black Rock family. Pretty Gang family. It's all in the family. It's a blood clot vibes. Galatians 2:12. Let me see what Galatians 2:12 talking about real quick before we get started. to that. And I'll come back to that there, you know. Peace to the righteous God. I see you, elder. You got the elder God in the building. You know what I mean? Peace to the righteous God. Let's get into it. This ain't that long right here. This ain't that long, family. How I'm sounding? Am I sounding good? Give me a 1 in the chat if I'm sounding straight. If you can hear me clearly, give me a 1 in the chat if you can hear me clearly. You dig? All right, that's what I want to see. I want it. Here we blood clot go. All right, we about to get into this thing. I see the ones coming in. Let's go to get this thing started. You dig? Let me share my scrizzle. Bam. Let's get it. There you go. There he is. There you go. The 13th apostle, Paul, the Herodian agent of Rome. You dig? Yeah, let's get it. There he is. Paul. Yeah. Now keep in mind now. They say Paul's supposed to be a Benjamite. Now, according to the 12 tribes of Israel, hold on, let me see if I can pull up that real quick. The 12 tribe chart. The 12 tribe chart. Right? Now look, this is the 12 tribe chart. Where that shit go? Okay, look. See that? What'd that say? Benjamin, West Indian blacks. Now this is supposed to be the 12 tribe chart coming from the famous ISUPK and all the other Israelite camps that represent the 12 tribe chart. Now, as you look, the tribe of Benjamin is West Indian blacks. Guess what? That would be me. Now, when you look at me, my skin is copper-colored, woolly head, Nazi head dreadlock. Same thing with the Judites. Same thing with the Levites. They would have been Nazi dreadlock head men under the Nazarene vow. They merged under one, right? But nonetheless, remember, Paul claimed to be a Benjamite. Now, let's go back. There he is. The 13th apostle, Paul, the Herodian agent of Rome. Now, he just perfectly fits that description of being an agent. He look like an agent. You know what I mean? He look like 12. He look like an FBI, CIA. He look like an op, COINTELPRO. He look like all them things. Now, keep in mind, hold on, I ain't done yet. Keep in mind, he said the Benjamites are the West Indians. Now, the West Indians, the culture is Rasta. That's what you find in the West Indians. The Rasta. The Nazi dreadlock. See that? Let me make it bigger for you. This is Benjamin. This is the Caribbeans. These are the West Indian people. Huh? Copper-colored, right? See the Nazi dreadlock? The Nazarenes? Rastas consider themselves Nazarenes today. They follow the Nazarene rites. They follow the Nazarene order. They'll tell you that in a minute. They don't eat flesh. They're vegetarians. They observe a Sabbath, and they smoke their ganja, which is a herb, and they deal with jaja, right? But this is what they say on the 12 tribe chart. But when we go now back to Paul, there he is. When we go to Paul, the 13th apostle, because he done made himself, he is a self-proclaimed apostle. Nigga never met Jesus in the flesh, proclaimed he had a vision on the way to Damascus, and now all of a sudden he an apostle. So that'll make him the 13th apostle, which will be the false apostle. The same way you got the 13th tribe. You got 12 tribes, and then they say you got the 13th tribes, which was the Edomite tribes. What a coinky dink. So here you have it, Paul. Now let's scroll down. Let's get into this. The physical appearance of Paul is described as an Edomite. Nicephorus claimed that Paul was a little man, crooked, and almost bent like a bow, with a pale countenance, long and wrinkled, and a bald head. So right here, he's described as having what? A pale countenance. This would right there. That's what that would be. Now let's see what else to say. In the Latin version of the Acts of Paul and Thesla, it is added that he had red, florid face. Red, florid face. There he is. Red, florid face, like pomegranate, right? In the history of the contending of St. Paul, his countenance is described as ruddy, with a ruddiness of the skin of the pomegranate. The Acts of St. Peter confirms that Paul had a bald and shining head with red hair. There he is, red hair. Come on. Does this sound like a Benjamite to you? Pale skin, red hair? Who does this sound like? Let's see who does this sound like. Genesis 25:25. And the first came out red all over, like an hairy garment. And they called his name Esau. There he is. Esau is what they call his name. This nigga Paul, based off the records left behind, they describe him as a pale man with red hair, with pomegranate readiness. There he is right there. Paul is described as the very Edomite. That's his physical appearance. Ain't no goddamn Benjamites running around like this. Ain't no Benjamites. They go to Benjamites. There they go. There they go. That's Benjamin right there. According to the 12 tribe chart, the West Indian blacks. There they go. There they is. Look at that. Look at these brothers. Ain't none of these brothers described like this right here. And this supposed to be a goddamn Benjamite. Huh? This supposed to be a goddamn Benjamite. Nigga said Harry Rosenberg. Nigga, you crazy. So here we have the physical description and appearance of Paul being pale skin, red florid face, pomegranate, red hair, and described as Esau in the Bible. That's it, nigga. I can just close the rest of this and call it a day. Paul is an Edomite. How did Edomites become Jews? Through historians understanding that Antipater's family had converted to Judaism in the 2nd century BC. Different stories circulate in the wake of his sons coming to power. They demonstrate the tension that existed between the Jewish people and the powerful Edomites who appeared at this time. There was tension between the Jews and the Edomites. But look, it says Antipater's family. Now, Antipater's family is Herod, right here. Let's highlight that. Antipater's family, so that's the Herodian family, had converted to Judaism in the 2nd century BC. There you go, right there. There we go. Now we got when they converted, the 2nd century BCE. They converted to the Judean ways, right? Let's move on right here. Where we at? Check this. Check this. Instead, Josephus explains that Antipater's family, the Herodians, converted to Judaism during the forced conversion by the Sadducees' influenced Hasmonean leader John Hyrcanus, 134 through 104 BCE, within that time period. See that? It's telling you the time period that they converted within the 2nd century BC, 1st century BC. Hyrcanus threatened. Now, pay attention to this. This is the death blow for the circumcision. Pay attention to this. Hyrcanus threatened that any Idumean, Edomite, who wished to maintain their land would need to be what? Circumcised and entered into the tradition of the Jews, the Yahudians, right? Josephus acknowledged. Let me get to the rest of it right here. Look what it says. Josephus acknowledged Herod as being by birth a Jew, and Antipater as being of the same people with the Jews. Nevertheless, this influential family came to be resented by many Jews for their what? Edomite ancestry, a fact used by the Hasmoneans and their supporters against them. So when these niggas started claiming to be Jews, they try to act like they was from the tribe of Judah. But those who was there during the conversion knew that these niggas was fake. So just imagine the generations coming down with this conversion story may be forgotten. And now these Edomites are really claiming to be Judeans when they're not. So here is where they converted to Judaism. How did the Edomites become Jews? This is how they became Jews. 2nd century BC. 2nd century BC is when they became Jews. Right here. And Antipater's family, the Herodians, converted to Judaism during the forced conversion by the Sadducees influenced Hasmonean leader John Hyrcanus, 134 to 104 BC. Now the key point here in this right here is this right here. Check this out. Where it says, Hyrcanus threatened these niggas. He threatened the Idumeans, which is the Edomites, who wished to maintain their land, would need to be circumcised and entered into the tradition of the Jews. Now, you remember, Paul was making an issue with circumcision, but here Hyrcanus is upholding circumcision. Like if you Edomites want to be part of this fold, you got to become circumcised. So why would Paul disregard circumcisions when it was being held by Hyrcanus and telling his forefathers that these things need to be upheld? Now check this precept. Paul transgressed the laws of circumcision. Galatians 5:1. Behold, I, Paul, say unto you that if ye be circumcised, Christ shall profit you nothing. So he's saying if you be circumcised, it's worthless, basically. Again, Galatians 5:1. Paul, behold, I, Paul, say unto you that if ye be circumcised, Christ shall profit you nothing. Now remember what Hyrcanus said. Hyrcanus opposed the law of circumcision. Hyrcanus threatened that any Idumean who wished to maintain their land would need to be circumcised and entered the tradition of the Jews. So why would Hyrcanus tell his forefathers, Paul's forefathers, the Idumeans, that if you want to be part of this fold, you got to get circumcised? Now here you have Paul talking about don't worry about it. You don't need to be circumcised. It ain't going to profit you nothing in Christ. So he's changing the law. Here's the proof that he's changing the law. What is the law of circumcision? Genesis chapter 17, verse 10 through 14. Let's read. Verse 10. This is my covenant, which you shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every man-child among you shall be what? Circumcised. This is a covenant. Verse 11. And ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and this shall be a token of the covenant between me and you your creator. Paul is telling you that circumcision means nothing when your creator is telling you this is part of your covenant. Verse 12. And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, every man-child in your generation. He that is born in the house or brought with money of any stranger which is not of thy seed. See that? Any stranger which is not of thy seed even got to be circumcised. He that is, verse 13, he that is born in thy house and he that is brought with money must need be circumcised. See that? And my covenant shall be in your flesh. For what? An everlasting covenant. For what? An everlasting covenant. What the hell Paul talking about? What the hell Paul talking about? What did Paul say? What did Paul say? What did Paul say? Galatians 5:1. Behold, I, Paul, say unto you, that if ye be circumcised, Christ shall profit you nothing. Look at that. He said profit. He said first he's saying Christ. We're not even dealing with Christ in the Old Testament law. We're dealing with Creator. Where Christ come from? How Christ have the authority when Creator has the authority of circumcision? And Hyrcanus is upholding it in the 2nd century BC. Telling the Edomians, if you want to convert to this tradition, nigga, you got to get circumcised. And look what it says in verse 14. This is the death blow to these niggas. And the uncircumcised, like Paul, don't want you to get circumcised according to this law. And the uncircumcised man-child, keep in mind it says man-child, whose flesh of his foreskin is not circumcised, that soul shall be what? Cut off from his people. He hath what? Broken my covenant. What the hell Paul talk about? If Paul is telling you that circumcision amount to nothing, you breaking the covenant of the Creator. And then you cut off from his people. So Paul is cutting you off from the Creator. He's cutting you off from the covenant. By telling you what? By telling you this in Galatians 1:5. Behold, I, Paul. Paul is speaking like he's the authority. What happened to God? God gave the law of circumcision. Paul is speaking with the authority in his own self-proclaimed apostle voice. Behold, I, Paul, say unto you, that if ye be circumcised, Christ shall profit you nothing. And we just read the law of circumcision, verse 14. And the uncircumcised man-child, whose flesh of foreskin is not circumcised, that soul shall be cut off from his people. He hath broken my covenant. What are we talking about here? What the hell Paul got niggas doing? What type of message is Paul sending concerning circumcision? If this is part of the covenant of the very book that the people are going to be believing in. They're not just going to be believing in Yeshua. They're going to have to go read the Tanakh. They're going to have to read the law. But again, Paul is switching things around. How did the Jews end up in Tarsus? Now, this is interesting. The Hellenization of the city began in the days of Alexander the Great. This influence was fully felt by the Jews who had been colonized at Tarsus by the Seleucids about 170 BC. So there you have it. They ended up in Tarsus, 170 BC. They was colonized there. During the reign of Antiochus Epiphanes, a revolt of these colonists provide a fact in the Jewish history. 2 Maccabees, chapter 4, and I'm going to just read verse 36, because in the book of 2 Maccabees, it actually says that the Jews was in Tarsus. And when, verse 36, and when the king was come again from the places about Cilicia, which is Tarsus, the Jews that were in the city, and certain of the Greeks that adore the fact also complained because Onias was slain without cause. So again, right here it says Cilicia, the Jews that were in the city, and Cilicia is in Tarsus. So we do have Jews, but keep in mind, Paul is claiming to be a Benjamite. Paul is claiming to be a Benjamite. Now look now, Benjamites and Jews are two different tribes. Nothing further is known regarding the Jews of this city, although it later became famous as the birthplace of Saul of Tarsus, who you know was Paul, who lived there for a time. Acts 9:11, Acts 11:25, Acts 21:39, Acts 22:3, and claimed Roman citizenship in virtue thereof. Ramsey follows by Scutrer has proved with that. See Hastings Dictionary Bible, chapter 2, 105. Diaspora. Y'all hush. All right, now check it. That a Jew could not have been a citizen. Hold on, y'all be quiet. Hush. That a Jew could not have been a citizen in a Greek town unless the sovereign had ordered that the Jews of the city in question form a separate genes, a separate clan, a separate race. Genes mean clan, mean race. So Jews couldn't get citizenship unless it was provided for from the sovereign, but it had to be separate, like something to that effect. Now, an event which must have happened in Tarsus, probably as Ramsay thinks at the instance of Antiochus Epiphanes. Expository Times, that chapter 16:8. Touches on that. Now check it. During the time of Pompey, 67 BC, Tarsus was made the capital over the Roman province of Sicilia. And the Jews began to receive Roman citizenship. Antony, who controlled the eastern province, declared the city free in 42 BC. So there you have, the Jews got the Roman citizenship in 67 BC. Then the city declared itself free in 42 BC. Tarsus continued to receive special privileges under Augustus, who exempt the city from imperial taxation because Anthodorus, his teacher and friend, was a Tarsian. That's why this nigga man was a Tarsian. So, because you my man, I'm gonna let the whole state get free tax. I'm gonna exempt y'all niggas. But here it do say that the Jews began to receive Roman citizenship and that the state was declared free in 42 BC. So when Paul made that statement, I'm a free Roman citizenship, there's validity there, but the only thing is that the nigga Paul is not a damn Jew. He's a Benjamite. See, he told on himself. We can't mix the two tribes together. Jew is a Judite. Benjamin is the tribe of Benjamin. Right? And this is way before his time anyway. But I'm showing you how they got it. See what I'm saying? How they got the citizenship. Look at the time period. This is long before the first century. Right? So now look at this. Tarsus continued to receive special privileges under Augustus, who exempted the city from imperial taxation because Anthodorus, his teacher and friend, was a Tarsian. Tarsus grew into a cultural and intellectual center. Staiok, however you pronounce that, philosophers like Anthodorus, Zeno, and Antipater and Nestor lived in the city in the 1st century AD. Now look at that. You have an Antipater. Again, keep in mind, Antipater is a Macedonian name, but you see it all over the Herodians. The very father of Herod the Great name is Antipater. Antipater is a Herodian name going back to the 5th century BC. Pre-existing hostility between Judeans and Edomites. Herod the Great sieged Jerusalem in 37 or 36 BC, was the final step in his campaign to secure the throne of Judea, aided by what? Roman forces, provided by Mark Antony. Herod was able to capture the city and depose Antigonus II Matthias, ending the Hasmonean rule. Now keep in mind, Antigonus is another Macedonian name. So you got Antigonus and Antipater, both Macedonian names. That's interesting. Now, Paul claims of being a Benjamite. Philippians 3:5. Circumcised the 8th day of the stock of Israel. This is his claim. Of the tribe of Benjamin, and Hebrew of Hebrews, as touching the law, a Pharisee. So he was a Pharisee. Now he's telling on himself because, come on, like Mally said, he the only nigga claiming. This is the only nigga in the whole New Testament that's a Benjamite. You don't hear nobody else claiming Benjamite except this nigga. And keep in mind, the Jews at Tarsus were Judites. Right here. A Jew is from the tribe of Judah. A Benjamite is from the tribe of Benjamin. We can't conflate the two. And plus, he's being specific, too. He's being specific. He said, I'm from the tribe of Benjamin. See that? So it states Jews or Judites in Tarsus, not Benjamites. And these Benjamites could have well been converted Idumeans. Because remember, Hyrcanus made them convert to Judaism. So by the time couple centuries down, coming down about 30, 40, 50, 60 years later, coming on down, you find them niggas in Tarsus, right? You find them in Tarsus. But they Idumeans, claiming to be Jews. So we could go both ways. Paul admits to being a free born Roman. Acts 22, verse 25 through 29, verse 25. And as they bound him, with thongs. Paul said unto the centurion that stood by, Is it lawful for you to scourge a man that is a Roman? Is it lawful for you to scourge a man that is Roman? I can hear that nigga saying it like that, right? And uncondemned. Verse 26. When the centurion heard that, he went and told the chief captain, saying, Take heed, my nigga, what thou do, for this man is a Roman. What happened to that Benjamite talk? He ain't telling nigga he a Benjamite. Now he telling him he a Roman. Verse 27. Then the chief captain came and said unto him, Tell me, art thou a Roman? Tell me, art thou a Roman? He said, Yeah. So here you have Paul proclaiming to be a Roman. He ain't saying, Nah, my nigga, I'm a Benjamite. He ain't do that. You think the real zealots, you think Yeshua and James would have played them games with them boys? If they would have got locked up and the Romans would have asked them, What's your nationality? You think they would have said, I'm a Roman? They would have said, Nah, nigga, I'm a Judite. They would have stood on what they stand on. But in this instance, he locked up. And he telling these niggas he a Roman. Instead of telling them he a Judite. I mean, a Benjamite. So that's strike 2 on his ass right there. That's strike 2 on his ass right there. Verse 28. And the chief captain answered, With the great sum obtained I this freedom. And Paul said, But I was freeborn. See that? He said he was freeborn. Verse 29. Then straightway they departed from him, which should have examined him, and the chief captain also was afraid, after he knew that he was what? A Roman, and because he had bound him. Now keep in mind, I showed you earlier that they did have Jews that was freeborn Romans, that the Jews did receive Roman citizenship. Roman citizenship in 67 BC under Pompey, and then in 42 BC, the state was considered free, right? So he could be claiming that. Let's say he claiming that. But here's where the twist coming at for where he can't be claiming that lineage of Jews in Tarsus, but another lineage. And we're going to show that next. How does one become a freeborn Roman citizen? We have to go back to 47 BC when the father of Herod, Antipater, was granted Roman citizenship from Julius Caesar. So now we have 2 counts of Roman citizenship being granted. First, we have the Roman citizenship being granted among the Jews of Tarsus. And now we have Roman citizenship being granted to the Idumeans. Now, this is where Paul fits in, of when he claimed I got Roman citizenship and I'm a freeborn Roman. He's not talking about the Jews of Tarsus. He's talking about these niggas right here, what we're about to read. The Idumeans, his family lineage. Because I showed you, he's a pale skin with reddish hair. That ain't no Benjamite. Now, how does one become a freeborn Roman citizen? Let's read. We have to go back to 47 BC when the father of Herod, Antipater, was granted Roman citizenship from Julius Caesar. Let's read. After Julius Caesar defeated Pompey at the Battle of Pharsalus, Antipater sided with Caesar during the Roman Civil War. During Caesar's Egyptian campaign, Antipater joined Mithridates and Pergamon's army marching to rescue Caesar in Alexandria. Look at this. Caesar made him chief, talking about Antipater, which is the father of Herod. Caesar made him, Antipater, chief minister of Judah, as Judah became known to the Romans, with the right to collect what? Taxes eventually. See that? See that? So Caesar, the Roman nigga, Rome put Antipater chief over Judea. That call came out of Rome. So the Idumeans wasn't shit without Rome. The Herodians were just a puppet for Rome. It was put in position by Rome. Caesar made him chief minister of Judah, as Judah became known to the Romans. See that? with the right to collect taxes eventually. See that? That's where your tax payings come from. Caesar made Antipater son of Phasaelus, Phasaelus, and Herod governor of Jerusalem and Galilee. See that? Caesar made Antipater that. Caesar put Herod in position. Now look, check it. When Julius Caesar and Pompey went to war in 49-48 BCE, Antipater at first sided with Pompey. And when the latter was defeated by Caesar, Antipater shifted his alliance to Caesar. While Caesar was besieged in Alexandria in 47 BC, Antipater, Mithras, and Pergamon rescued him with 13,000 men in aid of numerous nearby friends. Check it. For this demonstration of valor, Caesar elevated Antipater to Roman citizenship, freed him from taxes. See that? Now, I showed you earlier how the Jews of Tarsus got Roman citizenship. Now I'm showing you how the Herodians got Roman citizenship. And which citizenship does Paul fall under? He falls under this citizenship. Again, for his demonstration of valor, Caesar elevated Antipater to Roman citizenship, freed him from taxes, and showed him with honor and declaration of friendship. See that? So because of that act, he placed him over Judea. He gave him Roman citizenship and his descendants, and they were freed from taxes. See that? So it was Julius Caesar who put Herod to govern over Jerusalem. The Herodian family being classified as having Roman citizenship free from paying taxes. So Paul stating that he is a freeborn Roman citizen is admitting he has Herodian ties, or he's basically a Herodian. Because the only way you could have a freeborn Roman citizenship is to be the descendant of Antipater. And here's the descendants to find Saulus, Antipater, family tree of Saulus, which is Paul. And there you see it right there, Saul, be Antipater. Who's Antipater? We just read Antipater is the father of Herod, the Herodian lineage. So the Herodians, through Julius Caesar, received free Roman citizenship. So when Paul up here was quoting that he a freeborn Roman citizenship, he's claiming his Herodian ties. He's revealing his agency. He showed his card. He showed his CIA card, like, look, nigga, I'm really a Herodian, right? Now fall back. I'm telling these niggas I'm a Benjamite. Let me do my thing. That's what he's telling the Roman spies. Like, nigga, look, nigga, I'm undercover, all right? I'm really a goddamn Herodian. I'm a freeborn Roman citizen. I come from the descendant of Antipater, nigga, the Herod father. I know you know Herod, nigga. That's him talking. That him talking. See that? So Paul states that he is a free-born Roman citizen, is admitting his Herodian ties. Close family of Costabor be Antipater. See that Antipater? Now keep in mind, Antipater goes even back further. Antipater is a Macedonian name. We deal with 1st century. That name Antipater goes back to the 3rd, 4th century BC. And it's Macedonian. So who are these Herodians? Who are these people really? Now Saul is persecute the Jews. Antiquity of the Jews by Josephus, book 20, chapter 9 and 4. Costoborus also and Saulus did themselves get together a multitude of wicked wretches, and this because they were of the royal family. What royal family could that be? The Herodian royal family. And so they obtained favor among them because of their kindred to Agrippa. Agrippa's a Herodian. But still they use violence with the people. What people? What people you think they're talking about if they use violence against? The apostles, the true apostles, the disciples, those who believed in the Messiah, and were very ready to plunder those that were weaker than themselves. So that's the behavior of Saul. First mention of Paul in the Bible, Acts 7, 58. And cast him out of the city and stoned him. And the witness laid down their clothes as a young man's feet, whose name was Saul. That's the first mention of Saul at the viewing of Stephen's death. And look, Acts 8:1. And Saul was consenting unto his death. And at that time there was a great persecution against the church, which was at Jerusalem. And they were all scattered abroad throughout the regions of Judea and Samaria, except the apostles. See that? There was great persecution against the Israelites after Yeshua. And Paul was consenting. He consenting of the death of Stephen. What does consent mean? Give permission for something to happen. See that? This is Paul. This is the same nigga that everybody believe in. This is Paul's behavior. We showed his identity. We showed his family tree. Now he's showing his behavior before his conversion. So Paul is first mentioned in the Bible consenting to the killing of Stephen. Saul persecute the Israelites. Acts 8:3. As for Saul, he had made havoc of the church, entering every house and dragging off men and women, committing them to prison. Slave master ways. That's that plantation ways Saul is showing. But these the niggas, niggas is following this man. Then Saul, still breathing threats and murder against the disciples of the Lord. Who is the Lord? They talking about Yeshua. So basically saying he's making threats against the disciples of Yeshua. And went to the high priest and asked letters from him. To the synagogues of Damascus, so that if they found any who were of the way, whether man or woman, he may bring them, bound them to Jerusalem. See that? Saul playing slave master. Saul playing slave master to you niggas. And y'all going for it. Y'all following Saul. There he is, playing slave master. Keep playing with him. This is his behavior before the conversion, right? Let's read that again. Then Saul, still breathing threats and murder against the disciples of Yeshua, the Lord, went to the high priest. He went to the high priest and asked letters from him to the synagogue of Damascus, so that if he found any who were all of the way of what? Of the way of Yeshua, whether man or woman, he might bring them bound to Jerusalem. Plantation as Saul. Plantation Paul. Who was the high priest in Damascus? It's Ananias. Now, Ananias describes Paul's behavior pre-conversion. Acts 9:13-14. Then Ananias answered, Lord, I have heard by many of this man, how much evil he hath done to thy saints at Jerusalem. This is Saul we talking about, a.k.a. Paul, verse 14. And here he hath authority from the chief priests to bind all that call on thy name. You see that? He up here locking niggas up if you even calling the name Yeshua. See that? Now, here's Christ from heaven comes to Paul. Here's where everything changed. Acts 9:3-5, verse 3. And as he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly there shined round about him a light from heaven. A light from heaven. Verse 4. And he fell to the earth and heard a voice saying, Saul, Saul, why they persecute thou me? Verse 5. And he said, Who art thou, Lord? And the Lord said, I am Jesus, whom thou persecutest. it is hard for thee to kick against the pricks. This nigga Yeshua, an Aramaic speaking Nazarene, he's saying Judite, comes back to Saul speaking a 5th century poem of Greek. Greek poem, 5th century BC, it is hard for thee to kick against the pricks. And in Acts 5, it shows you where that comes from. Pine Door, Pythagoras. These are the Isocles. These are the people who the quote. These are the Greek philosophers who use that quote. Euripides. You know what I mean? These are Greek niggas who use this quote. See that? Isocles, how you pronounce his name. Look at that, man. Look at this time period. Look at that. 525 BC. Look at that. He quoting that. Yeshua came back quoting this man and the mother cats. These Greek philosophers in the 5th century BC. See that? And keep in mind the New Testament was written in what? Rome. In Greek. Them niggas slid in there. Yo, we're going to go ahead and slide in this little Greek piece of literature. You know, we got to put ourselves in the book somewhere. This is the book of life. This is the Bible, nigga. We got to show some type of influence. Let's go ahead and slide in when Paul said, because you know Paul is our agent. This is Rome talking. Paul is our agent. The Idumeanite, the Edomite, the pale-skinned, red-beard nigga, the Edomite. He's our agent. And Rome being the goddamn godfather, yo, go ahead and slide in some Homer, nigga, some Pine Door. Slide in some of that Greek philosophy. It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks. Nigga, that sounds like some old dork shit, some old weirdo shit. Fuck type of shit them niggas over there kicking rocks. Niggas over in Greece kicking rocks, coming up with goddamn quotes and shit. Let's keep it moving. Now, keep in mind, we're talking about Christ from heaven comes to Paul. Now, this is supposed to be his encounter. This is supposed to be his claim to fame, his self-proclaimed apostleship. Now, all of a sudden, he has the authority, speaking in his behalf, I, Paul. The symbol of the Christ equal the Chi in a row. This is a description of Paul and Peter. Why is the Chi in a row there? That's the question. Why is the Chi in a row even associated with Peter, and Paul? Why they got this there? You know what the Chi in a row is? It's the Christ. The Christ. The caress. Gravestone. Let's get it right here. Gravestone for the boy at Sulis. Catacomb picture of Peter and who? Paul. There he is. And with the Chi and Rho symbol. Look at that. With Paul, with the Chi and Rho symbol between them. Marble catacomb inscription, Pio Cristino, Vatican Museum. That's in the Vatican. There he is. Paul with the Chi and the Rho. Do you know what the Chi and the Rho? That's the Christ, my nigga. The X and the P. The X and the P, the Greek letters, is Chi and the Rho. And that's the symbol. Now watch this. Keep in mind, what did the scripture say right here? In verse Acts 9:3. Suddenly there appeared, suddenly there shined round, you got to pay attention, round about him a light from heaven. A light from heaven. Right? What is the symbol of this light, I wonder? Let's move on. Now look at this. There go Peter again. This is a Vatican coin with the Chi in a row. And Peter and Paul again. And they go to Chi in a row. Look at that. Look at Paul. There go Paul. There he is. Look at the bed. Pale skin, reddish hair. Look like he had a little bit of hair this time, but they go to Chi in a row again. They go to symbol. They go to cross. They go to Christ. They go to Christ. That's what that symbol means. Let's confirm this. There you go. Look at that, Ptolemy III. Look at the symbol of the Christ being used in the 2nd, 3rd century BC. During the Ptolemaic reign. And keep in mind, the Ptolemies are Macedonians. Keep in mind, they go right here. You see it? The Chi in a row right there. But you see it on the coin going back to the 3rd century BC. And this is the Macedonians. The Ptolemies were Macedonians. Well, what is the Macedonian word for Christ? For cross? Look at the Macedonian word for cross. What does it say? It say Christ. See that? So what is this symbolizing? The Christ on the coin. See that? This symbol right here that you see between Paul is the symbol of the Christ, which is the cross. A cross in Macedonia is Christ. They go proof of the Macedonians ruling, because the Macedonians ruled right after before the Romans, right? So they would have been aware that the term cross would have been Christ to the Macedonians. The Macedonian word for cross is Christ. There you go. Right there. Christ equal cross. And then you see the Chi in a row with Constantine. See that? The symbol of the Christ. Now, let me pull this up real quick. Pull this up real quick. The symbol of the cross. Right here. This is an Owaspi Bible, base of the Ezra Bible. The doctrine of these warriors was that knowledge, which implied general education, was the best preventative against crime and misery. Neither understood any man in those days that the word Christ had any reference to man or person, referring to the cross, because it was referred to the cross. It was the symbol of the cross, right? Further proof of the cross, right? The same X and P. Again, they go Ptolemy III. A better vision of the, you can see the X and the P a little clearer on this one, right there. That's the symbol of the Christ. The word Christian. Let's get that real quick. Right? Now keep in mind, this is the word Christian, right? In some languages, I'm going to stop at Macedonia right here. In some languages, people with the name are sometimes named after the cross, not after Christ. The word cross in Bulgarian and Macedonia is what? Is Christ. See that right there? Same word as up here. Right there. See that Macedonian? Christ. Word for cross. Come over here. Boom. This word for cross. Right? It says Macedonian, in the Macedonian, in which the word Christian means baptized, and the same as the word for cross. See that? So the cross or the Christ was the symbol of the chi and the rho. Right here, the X and the P. That's the symbol of the Christ. Later, it became embodied to a person, but not at this point. Somebody put a body on that. Said, we're going to put a body on this Christ. But prior to it becoming a figure of a human, it was the symbol of the cross. Now we're going to show the connection, how this symbol and this Christ who appeared to Paul is the same one who appeared to Constantine. Now let's go back up one more time to Paul encounter. He says, suddenly there shine round about him a light from heaven. All right. So the symbol of the X and the P is the Christ. We see the Christ pre-Paul during the Ptolemaic reign, 3rd, 2nd century BC. We see the Christ in use. And the Macedonians, the Ptolemies were Macedonians, Greeks, Christ, cross. Now let's go to Constantine. Now look, we've seen the same cross with Paul. Now we see the same cross with Constantine. Chi in a row during the time of Constantine. Let's read. Watch this. One day, while he was in front of his tent, now this is the vision of Constantine, with his officers and troops around him, he had a vision of an enormous cross of fire in the heavens. On one side of the cross were the words in the Greek language, by this conquer. Now keep in mind the Greek language. Macedonians are Greek. An enormous cross, which is what? Christ. An enormous Christ of fire in heaven. On one side of the cross of the Christ was the words in Greek, Macedonian language, by this conquer. The words are sometimes given in the Latin from in hoc signo vinces, the translation of which is by this sign thou shalt conquer. So this is what he sees. He sees the chi in a row, the cross, surrounded in a circle, round about. Remember Paul said he seen it round about him? A light in heaven. This is the Christ right here. This is what Constantine's seen. And to furthermore proof that this is the Christ, let's read. Constantine was astonished at the wonderful vision, and he gazed at it until it faded away. He could not understand what it meant and was greatly troubled. But that night he dreamed that who? Christ appeared to him in a robe of dazzling white, bearing a what? Christ in his hand, and that he promised Constantine victory over his enemies if he would make the Christ his standard. See that? The cross. So keep in mind, I showed you the term Christ during the Ptolemaic reign when it had no association with an embodied person. It just symbolized the cross. 600 years later, coming to the 3rd century AD, during Constantine's time, the Christ takes on a bodily form as an entity. Now we're going to reveal who this Christ entity is, because we already explained that the cross is the Christ, the symbol of a cross. And here you see the symbol of the cross, the X and the P at the head of Constantine's army at the Battle of Milvian Bridge. You see the Christ, and this is when they became victorious. See that? And Constantine now declared himself a Christian. And he had a standard made in the form of a Christ with the banner attached to it bearing the initial letters of the name Christ. And there you go, bearing the letters. Keep in mind, bearing the initial letters. What are the initial letters? X and P. And you see it on the form of the shields right here. You see the X and the P all coming along? That's the symbol of the Christ, the cross. See that? Let's read that again. Constantine now declared himself a Christian and had a standard made in the form of a cross, a Christ, with the banner attached to it bearing the initial letters of the name of Christ, X and P. This banner was called the Labarum, and it was afterwards the standard of the Roman Empire. See that? See that? So now, Constantine has a vision of a Christ. Paul has a vision of a Christ. See that? Paul is associated with the Chi in a row, as you see here. As you see up here. You see Paul is associated with the Chi in a row. And then you see Constantine associated with the Chi in a row. And his army build shields with the Chi in a row and become victorious in battle to overthrow. And it seems like they had the same mission. Paul had a mission to overthrow the original words of the disciples, the followers of Yeshua, while Constantine had a vision to overthrow his arch enemy at the Battle of Milvian Bridge, Maximus, and he won. He became victorious. So Paul becomes victorious, Constantine becomes victorious, all under this Christ. Who is this Christ? Let's get to it. Let's get to it, who this Christ is. Owaski Bible, God's Book of Esther, 47, verse 3 and 4. Verse 3. Nevertheless, Luamung had proclaimed in heaven and earth that he was the what? The Christ, which is the Ahamic expression for all knowledge. So here we have a deity embodying the name Christ. And Owaski is revealing the name of this deity named Luamung. For those who know, we already know. Verse 4. The Lord said, now, therefore, Luamung was from this time forth a false god in what? Heaven and on earth. So here, here the Owaski is revealing that there is a deity. He falsely styled himself as the Christ. Owaski Bible, God's Book of Esther, chapter 48, verse 14 and 15. Behold, Luamung and his angel hosts appeared in heaven above Constantine's army, so that all soldiers that saw the heavenly. Now keep in mind, we just read this in the actual historical documents. Now here the Owaski is revealing the name of the deity and how the deity took on the name and the title Christ and how he's now appearing to Constantine. Behold, Luamung, the false Christ, and his angel hosts appeared in the heavens above Constantine's army, so that all the soldiers there saw the heavenly visitors. So this is documented history. And what did Constantine see when he looked up? He seen the Chi in a row, the cross. That's the symbol that Luamung showed them in the heavens. The same symbol, the same Christ that came to Luamung is the same nigga that came to Paul. Because Paul's whole teaching is divert from Torah. Verse 15. And Luamung showed Constantine and the soldiers in the air of heaven a true cross, of which was written in letters of blood, Al Christ. Right here. Al Christ. Come on. Come on. This is Louis right here. This is the only angel proclaiming to be Christ as a God. You know how many people say Christ before they say God in the Christian world? Now here's the precept. Acts 9:3. Suddenly there shined round about him a light from heaven. Owaski appeared in the heavens, in the air of heaven, a true cross, a Christ. So what we're connecting here is that Luamung, the false Christ, appeared to Paul under the auspice of Jesus Christ, quoting Greek proverbs, Greek poems. And now Paul has this vision. He's self-proclaimed apostle. Now he's moving through professing his own gospel, going against the apostles. You see what he said about circumcision, and we read the law about circumcision, the everlasting covenant. And Paul said, if you circumcise, that don't mean nothing to Christ, in Christ. He's diverting from the truth. That's what these false gods do. Paul now is a self-proclaimed apostle, preaching a different doctrine. There go Paul. There he is right there. Now he in the church. He in the synagogues among the Negroes. Among the Negro spiritualists. There you go right there standing out like a piece of cotton. With a couple other Edomites in there mixed in. Because remember, the Edomites converted to Judaism, so they mixed up with the niggas. They mixed up with the old heads. But there you go right there. There go Paul right there. Now he in the church. See that? Now he in the church. What he doing in the church? Watch this. What he doing? Look what it say. Acts 9:20. And straightway he preached Christ in the synagogues. We just went through the whole explanation of Christ. Being the symbol of the cross, go to the etymology of the word of Macedonia, saying how it's the symbol of the cross, and then a deity embodies himself as a Christ. And who is he preaching? He ain't preaching Yahuwah. He ain't preaching Jehovah. He ain't preaching the I am, the I am. He straightway preached Christ in the synagogues. That he is what? The Son of God. Niggas ain't never teach that. Ain't none of the prophets ever teach that. This nigga coming with a whole new message right off the bat. The key word right here is straightway. Straightway, meaning nigga no time for pause. This nigga just got through hanging a nigga. On his way home, he had a vision, and straightway this nigga to the church preaching Christ. That's what's going on here. Look at Paul. There he is, right there. Just got through hanging a nigga. Just got through hanging a nigga on his way home, had a vision, now he up in the church. Preaching to the synagogue. Preaching Christ. Nigga, the real Hebrews wasn't preaching no Christ. These niggas was damn near arch enemies against the Edomites and the Romans. Why they gonna preach Christ? When they got their own word for Yahshua, Mashiach. Why they gonna now start preaching Christ? That's Paul. That's his doings. There he is. Shout out to Malachi Maccabee, man. That's his crow right there. You know, we piggyback off each other, man. We be clowning up in this joint. We be clowning. Now check it. Paul transgressed the law. Precept. Paul transgressed the law. Isaiah. Look what he say. First, look what he say. And straightway he preached Christ in the synagogue that he is the Son of God. Precept. Paul transgressed the law. Isaiah 43:11. I, even I am Yahuwah, and beside me there is no saviors. There is no saviors. Paul is preaching against that. Paul is preaching that, you know, there's a Son of God. When Isaiah is saying, nigga, there is no saviors besides me. Transgressing the law. And he's preaching Christ. Isaiah quoted Yahuwah. This nigga preaching Christ. He preaching Luamon. Don't even know it. Don't even know it. Acts 9:21. But all that heard him were amazed and said, is not this he that destroyed them which called on his name in Jerusalem? Huh? They recounting this nigga Acts. They're like, wait a minute. This nigga was just hanging niggas in the plantation off the tree. Now he up in here preaching Christ and he the Son of God? They got their red flags up and came hither for that intent, that he might bring them bound unto the chief priests. See that? Acts 9:23. And after that, many days were fulfilled. The Jews took counsel to kill him. The Jews took counsel to kill this cat. Huh? If everything was honky-dory before his ministry, you think these niggas had to change? You think these particular Jews had to change? This is before his ministry. This is before he started preaching on in Damascus and all them places. This is before his journey. This is before Paul's journey, how the Jews felt about it. You think these niggas changed when he went on that journey? It said the Jews took counsel to kill him. You know why they wanted to kill him? Because just yesterday he hung 3 of his people. He hung 3 Nazarites. Huh? Some of the zealots, the disciples, hard-body Israelites going hard for Yeshua. He hung 3 of them niggas the day before. And now all of a sudden, he got to change your heart preaching Christ, preaching a gospel that we don't even agree with. Acts 9:23. And after that many days were fulfilled, the Jews took counsel to kill him. There you go, plantation vibes. Acts 9:24. And their laying await was known of Saul, and they watched the gates day and night to kill him. These niggas was trying to kill Saul. See that? That's the first century. That's Saul. That's how they, if they would have got their hand, if them Jews would have got their hands on Saul, it would be no goddamn Paul. It would be no goddamn writings and letters and epistles and all. It would be none of that if these particular Jews would have got their hands on them. I wonder who these Jews was, because they wasn't rocking with Paul at all. That's all I got for now. That's all I got for now. John 1:41, beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirit, whether they be of God, because many false prophets are gone out into the world, like this nigga Paul, like this nigga Saul. We showed he an Edomite. We showed his appearance. Give me a one in the chat if y'all getting this understanding, family. Yeah, give me a one in the chat if y'all getting this understanding. There he is, right there. The Herodian agent Paul. The Herodian agent Paul. That's part one. Yes, family. Shit, anybody want to hop on for a quick set? You can if you want. Anybody want to hop on for a quick set, talk a little smack? We run the rhythm. Hold on, let me close my blinds real quick. It's a blood clot vibes. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So since we on goddamn Paul neck, we just gonna expose him all the way. You know what I mean? 6 o'clock. Hopefully Cosmo and Cal about to go on, continue the goddamn torch. Continue to light the torch, you know. Big spliff will go on. So there we have it, Paul the Herodian. Showing and proving that nigga's a Roman spy. You see what I'm saying? What we did show was the two citizenships. We showed the citizenships of the Jews of Tarsus, and then we showed the citizenship of Antipater through Caesar. The Jews of Tarsus got their citizenship under Pompey, 67 BC. And then 42 BC, the land was free up in Tarsus for the Jews up there. Then you had the Idumeans through Caesar, through Antipater, got their citizenship free from taxes. And being that Paul falls under the Idumean lineage of Antipater, Saulus, he'll be placed under that citizenship of Roman, being a free Roman-born citizen under the Idumean covenant or agreement through Antipater and Caesar. And then the way the Jews or the Idumeans, the way they became Jews is under Hyrcanus in the 2nd century BC, 134 BC, around them times, when Hyrcanus, if they was going to convert, they had to come under the circumcision and follow the Jewish tradition. So they converted, the Edomites converted in the 2nd century BC under Hyrcanus, under the Hasmonean kingdom. During the Hasmonean dynasty is when the Edomites converted under the banner of Judaism. Not all, but some. And then not too long after that, they claiming to be Jews. So by the time Paul rolled around, he full body claiming to be, well, he claimed to be a Benjamite. And so if he would have claimed to be a Jew, he could have had some validity by saying, I was a Jew in Tarsus, and I got Roman citizenship under Pompey, and then later on, 42 BC, we granted free from taxes. He could have claimed that, but nigga, you were Benjamite. Nigga, you should have said you was a Jew. You probably would have got off on something. being you a Benjamite and then you're lying, because ain't no Benjamites got pale skin and looking like Esau. You fit the description of Esau. Paul fits the very description of Esau. Look at that. Look at that. The act of St. Peter confirms that Paul had a bald, shining head with red hair. He fits the description of Esau. And Esau is described just like this. So you would have had Jews masquerading around looking like this. For prime example. Prime example. Prime example. You put Jews with red hair. Prime example. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? This is a Jew. This is a Jew boy right here. This is a Jew. But look at his identities. Pale skin with red hair, just like the Edomites, but they claiming Judean because they was converted to Judeans under Hyrcanus. Peace to the God, Don Yehuda. Peace, King. What's good, family?
Peace, King. I'm good. How about yourself?
Hey, man, I'm here, man. I can't complain. All is well.
Man, I've been watching you brothers work, man. Y'all bringing out that information.
Hey, King.
When he touched down the other day, bringing that info out, right? I want to say that was during the debate with Tazariot. One question I did have to ask him, which he could have expounded on, but I thought it was kind of, heavy, is that no Israelite had any type of, how I want to put it, they didn't have the ability to call down a centurion or a legion to come help them out of trouble.
Facts, especially a Benjamite.
Exactly. So it's like, how did Paul have the ability to call a legion of soldiers down to rescue him out of danger? You know what I'm saying? Exactly. He would have to be a friend of Rome. He would have to, and then to be a Roman citizen, you had to be granted that citizenship.
Case in point. That shows you that he was, because I showed like you had two citizenships that was granted. Under Pompey, 67 BC, you had the citizenship given to the Jews of Tarsus. And then they became the free from taxes in 42 BC. But then you have Caesar granting Antipater Roman citizenship and his descendants, and they was granted free taxation. So Paul would fall under that category of Roman citizenships and free taxation under the Idumeans through Caesar.
Right. Yeah, because like you showed, they converted what, about 200 to 300 years before that point under Hyrcanus with the forced conversion.
Exactly. So just imagine a couple generations coming down now, you got these Edomites fully claiming that they're Jews. Especially if they got the circumcision and all that. If they follow in the tradition, they're like, yeah, we Jews. We from Judah. Nah, nigga, you still an Edomite. That's why they said it was still contention between some of them Jews, because those Jews were still aware that they were converted. But coming probably down the line, some of that knowledge must have been forgotten that they was converted, and now it's hostility between the darker skin and these so-called pale skin red Jews.
Right. Yeah, because there's a scripture in the New Testament where they were talking to Christ and they said they were never under bondage. And if you're familiar with any of the history of the nation of Israel, each tribe went under bondage at one time, if not multiple times throughout their existence as a nation, and even slightly prior being, acknowledged as a nation. So for them to say that they never were under bondage, then that would showcase that there had to be a separation of people within that people group, and that was possibly Edomite Judeans.
That's exactly what it was. Because who say that? What is the opposite of bondage? Freedom.
Correct.
So if you could prove that you're an Herodian, then you are exempt from taxes and you get citizenship for being a Roman. If you could prove, that's like if we could prove our lineage, if we could prove who our forefathers was, like you got some of these aboriginals claiming the land of America. So like, look, my forefathers got treaties and this, that, and the third showing that boom, we got inheritance to this land. We free citizens of this land. So the Idumeans of the first century would have been doing the same thing if they would have been caught out there. Like so coming back to saying what you was Paul, for that nigga to call out a legion of Romans, that shows you right there. First, that's some agent shit. That's some, hey nigga, I'm in trouble. I need backup. Call a squad, nigga. I'm out. I need 20 to 30 backup. I'm surrounded. That's that type of shit. You know what I mean? That's police shit. So that's why I say he an agent. And if he got Roman citizenship, he got Roman ties.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, this nigga a fraud, yo.
Yeah, it's definitely. Hey, man, it's definitely some interesting information. I'm gonna definitely have to get studied up on it. Malachi definitely hitting him upside the head with the information. So, I'm still a little bit on the fence with it, but I mean the information he come with is very compelling. You know what I'm saying? So I got to just take some time out of my schedule and really dig into the videos and the information that he's presenting and do my research. But man, it just certain things that he's dropping. And then if you just looking at it from the biblical context of him calling a centurion, they coming down. You never seen that in the biblical text of another nation that I'm aware of coming down and getting a particular Israelite out of danger amongst his or their people. Now they've anteed up with other nations and fought other people. You know, you had Joseph under, you know, becoming a viceroy in Egypt under the rule of Pharaoh, worked his way up, things of that nature. But for somebody who, you know, was supposed to be an apostle, you know, working against the Roman government, so to say, because, you know, they're going against what the Pharisees are preaching and other sects are preaching and bringing forth and things of that nature. And then for him to have that, and they don't expound how Paul got Roman citizenship. They don't expound how he was able to, you know, call the centurions to come get him. You know, it's just a lot of things that I would have to look into, but it just makes a case of point that Paul definitely has some real close ties to them Edomites and them Romans at that time.
Exactly. Big facts. Big facts. Even when you look at Paul, look at his journey, all his journeys in the north. You don't see this nigga going to no African countries on his travels.
Right.
He up here with it. This where Paul, look where he at with it.
Right.
He all up in Rome with it. Why he ain't up in Africa and Ethiopia and preaching the gospel out there? You know what I mean? He right where his ancestry came from. Because all them named Antipater, that's a Macedonian name. You got Macedonians using that name in the 3rd, 4th century BC, 5th century BC. Antigonus is another name that's Macedonian. And these Macedonians known for coming in from Macedonia, coming on down, conquering Egypt through Alexander the Great. Now they down here. First they up here with it. The Macedonian kings around 7th century BC. By the time you get to the 3rd century BC, they down here with it. Alexander conquered Egypt. They over here with it. Ptolemy's reigning. They Macedonians. And then right after the Macedonians comes, after Caesarion comes Antigonus. I mean, not Antigonus, Augustus, Caesar. The first Roman emperor. Yeah, all them niggas come from this stock right here. All of them come from all over here. The root of Roman come from Italy, which is the Etruscans. The Etruscans, them niggas mixed up. When they say Italy, them Sicilians, them Italians is black. That comes from that Etruscan stock. Because the Etruscans was ruling Italy from 900 BC all up and down to 2700 BC. That's how long their presence been in. These is black people we talking, the Etruscans.
Right.
So the Sicilians and Italians, they come from, when they say they black folks, they come from blacks, they come from them stocking niggas.
And I noticed on some of the pottery of the Etruscans, they did have some white people on there with them, so they were intermingled up there.
Exactly. That was a melting pot when you look at the knowledge. It was definitely a melting pot. The Etruscans, the Mycenaeans, and I ain't gonna lie, like them niggas was living some good lives, like some it's like they was living, so like they was doing whatever the fuck they want to do type of living. It don't look like they was under no regulation or no serious laws like you see in like Syria and Mesopotamia and Egypt and Canaan.
Well, hey, well, that's a byproduct. Western civilization is a byproduct. You could do what the hell you want over here, can't you?
Right. That's what it looked like. The Mycenaean culture kind of looked like. Them niggas was kind of like out there, just kind of free living. You know what I mean? Like they're not tied down to too much of nothing.
Right. And that's what it kind of seems like in a lot of those European civilizations, pretty much that you could pretty much do what you want as long as you honored their government or their king or their leader, and if they chose to impose their religious belief. But outside of that, you pretty much could do what the hell you want.
Right. It's like when you see their beliefs, it's like, yo, these niggas was chilling. Like,
yeah, a lot of their beliefs was lax, because when you look at a lot of their beliefs, they're doing all type of stuff that people are doing now that don't believe in nothing. So it's like kind of similar.
Right.
But yeah, man, I just wanted to tap in and just touch base with you on that information. Cause like I said, I thought it was strange that he was able to, touch a large number of Romans to come to his aid, against his own people trying to get at him. You know what I'm saying? So
exactly.
Rome really didn't want to, interfere in any of the states that they had authority over. They let them people do what they want. That's why when they brought Christ out, they let them make a decision on what they wanted to do with Christ and things of that nature. They didn't really want to interfere directly unless they called for that, and that was usually only if they were speaking against the Roman nation. So for the people trying to get at Paul and then he called them was kind of suspect.
Right. Big facts, yo. Big facts.
But yeah, man. But hey, blessings to you, man, and to all the brothers and sisters in the chat. Keep doing what y'all do. I'm definitely tuned in with the info. Also, man, tap into my channel tonight around 8 o'clock, man. I'm going over God, Lord, and Lord God, just bringing out some information on that.
Oh snap! Yeah, post it on Facebook or post it in the group.
So yeah, I posted it on Facebook. When we get a little closer, I'm gonna repost it again.
Yeah, definitely do that, King.
No doubt.
That, because that definitely got to be explained, that God, and Lord, because that's a hot topic. We got to let people know that there's a difference between these deities and the Creator. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, hey, man, definitely peace out. One love to everybody. And like I said, I'll definitely be tuning in to you, brother. So keep up the good work, bro.
Indeed, King. Salute.
Salute.
Yes, family. So, yeah, we went in on Paul. You know what I'm saying? Showing that boy is the 13th apostle, a self-proclaimed apostle. You know what I mean? That vision to Damascus got him head blown. Got him head blown. You know what I mean? What up, Ladybug? I see you in the building. Peace to Ladybug. You know what I mean? Yeah, that was easy work, though. That was easy work. But coming back to what we was talking about with the Etruscans, you know what I mean? The Mycenaeans. These are the precursors of the Macedonians. See that? These are the people that occupied Macedonia and Mycenae and them regions before the Dark Ages. Before the Greek Dark Ages. See the people, see the copper colored? They got all nationalities in these regions as well in Macedonia. But this is going back to 17th century BC. Look over here. Look at the Nazi dreadlock sitting down right there, stoop. Look at the Nazi dreadlock right there, yo. You see him, Nazi? See that? This is Mycenae. See that? Look at that. The Mycenaean language. This is a dead language, undecipherable. The Mycenaean language, 17th century BC. Pre-Greek, pre-Macedonian. This is the original before the fall. See that? See that? This is your linear B, syllabic script, that which was used for writing in Mycenaean Greek, the earliest attested form of the Greek language. See that? This is the earliest attested form of the Greek language, and these are the people. These are the people attested to the earliest Greek language right here. See that? See all them copper-colored people? So you got some whites up in there too, right there. But look at the copper-colored. They deep. These people, the original inhabitants, which in return are nothing but Persians. First form of Greek right here. See that? It looks a little bit like Phoenician, a little bit similar, but not. This shit is undecipherable. Look at your map. The Hittite Empire went all up in there. All up in there. In Greece. See the map? So you put everything on the timeline. Look at that. You got the Mycenaean civilization. That's what we just showed. 1700 BC to 1100 BC. The 1100 BC is when the collapse of the civilization took place, and they went into what they call the Greek Dark Ages. Roughly 300 years, a little over. And then rose the Renaissance, archaic Greek. Archaic Greek rise on the scene. But the Etruscans is already rocking out. And then you got the Ptolemies, which are ancestors of the Greeks. Then you got the Romans, which are ancestors of the Etruscans. All these came after the collapse. And then you got your gods that was ruling over these regions during this time. Baal was over Greece. Ashtaroth over Persia. Osiris over Egypt. The deified gods. See that? And you know the Phoenician script, the Greek is directly from the Phoenicia. Look what it say. Following the collapse, there were fewer smaller settlements suggesting widespread famine and depopulation in Greece. The linear B script used by Mycenaean bureaucrats to write the Greek language ceased to be used, and the Greek alphabet did not develop until the beginning of the Archaic period, 750 BC. And the Greek language comes from where? Later on, between 950 and 750 BC, the Greeks relearned how to write, but using the alphabet of who? The Phoenicians, instead of the linear B script used by the Mycenaeans. So the whole Greek language is scripted after the Phoenician alphabet. See that? So by the time Homer comes on the scene, around the 7th century BC, 8th century BC, Homer is quoting Greek philosophy, but his alphabet, his script, comes from Phoenician. There go Phoenician script right there, 10th century BC, the Gezer calendar. There go your Paleo-Hebrew. Post-Greek alphabet emerged after the Dark Ages. Bam. Look at that. 8th century. Inscription. See that? It's the early form of Greek right here. You can see the Phoenician influence. Come back up. You can see the Phoenician influence. This is archaic Greek script. You can see the Phoenician influence. Keep in mind, this is the Phoenician right up here. See that? This is where the Greek got it from. This script is where the Greeks got their alphabet from. See that? Around the 8th century BC. See that? Boom. So we're showing you the origin of the Greek coming from Phoenicia, and the whole New Testament is in Greek. See that? Pre-Greek Mycenaean script. Look at that. This is pre-Greek petroglyphic script. And then Etruscan civilization. This is where your Romans come from. When you look at the origin of Rome, it's Latium. It's right here. This is the region of the Etruscans. Etruscans was ruling this area 9th century BC right here. And this is pre-Dark Ages. These are the Etruscans. Earliest evidence of the culture that is identifiable, Etruscans date from about 900 BC. See that? And keep in mind, the Etruscan script is where Latin comes from. That's the Etruscan image of Apollo. Now you got some Etruscans right there, black and white. See that? Like they're having a good time. Them niggas like they ain't going to war no time soon. Etruscan civilizations dominated Italy until it fell to the expanding Roman beginning in the late 4th century BC as a result of the Roman-Etruscan Wars. Etruscans were granted Roman citizenship. Look at that. Yeah, look at these Romans. Look at that. Etruscans was granted Roman citizenship in 90 BC. So we got Etruscans. Look at that. Hold on. Yo, this shit is wild. Let me do this. Let me do this. This shit is wild. So you got Etruscans getting Roman citizenship in 90 BC. Then, let me bring this down. Hold up. This is crazy. And then, right here, during the time of Pompey 67 BC, Tarsus was made capital over the Roman province of Cilicia, and Jews began to receive Roman citizenship. So you have Etruscans in 90 BC, and hold up, I ain't done yet. Let me bring the third one out. That's crazy.
I got a marinade.
All right. Let me bring the third one out real quick. You can bring some. Yeah. Hold on. Where that? Oh, there you go. I'm looking right at it. All right. And then let me bring in the third part. These Romans wasn't playing around with their citizenship. Rome was not playing around with their citizenship. That's crazy, yo. That's wow. That's crazy. So you got 47. Put this shit in order. So first you got 90, 67, and 47. Look at that. Etruscans were granted Roman citizenships in 90 BC. And only in 27 BC was the whole Etruscan territory incorporated into the newly established Roman Empire. Blood clot. Look at that. Look at that. They took over Etruscan. They took over these. But look, Etrusca was granted Roman citizenship in 90 BC. During this time, Pompey, 67 BC, Tarsus was made the capital over the Roman province of Cilicia. and Jews began to receive Roman citizenship. 67 BC. Then we jump down to in Alexandria in 47 BC, Antipater, Mithras, and Pergamon rescued with him 13,000 men and aided him of numerous nearby friends. For his demonstration of value, Caesar elevated Antipater to Roman citizenship, freed from taxes. Look at that. Rome ain't playing. Rome hitting niggas with citizenship. They hitting niggas with that citizenship. Like, yo, I give you citizenship. Hitting niggas with all the way from 90 BC among the Etruscans hitting niggas with the citizenship. All the way down to the Idumeans in the 1st century, 2nd century BC. That's crazy. That's wild. So the Etruscans got fully emerged. But look at the Etruscan language. Yeah, look at this. This is the Etruscan language. That looks similar, very similar to the Phoenician. Looks a little similar to the Phoenician. But look what it says. There's another Etruscan script, right? One of the longest Etruscan scripts, possibly 5th century BC. But look what it say right here. Backdrop. The Latin script owes its existence to the Etruscan alphabet, which was adopted for Latin in the form of the old Italic script. See that? Boom. Latin comes directly from the Etruscan alphabet. Directly from the Etruscan alphabet. So Greek is rooted in Phoenician. Latin is rooted in Etruscan. Right here. All this coming on down to the 1st century Paul, being a Roman agent and the Idumean, which in cahoots could be Macedonians, because Antipater is a Macedonian name. Pull that up real quick. Let me show you how Antipater is a Macedonian name. Watch this. See that? Look at that. Antipater. See that? Antipater was what? Was a Macedonian general. And this is, you talking 4th century BC. 5th century BC. 400 BC to 319 BC. The name Antipater is used among the Macedonians. Now, what a coinky dink is Herod's father named Antipater? It ain't no coincidence. These niggas is Macedonians. Masking around like they the Israelites. And look, you got an Antipater of Tarsus. See that? You got an Antipater of Tarsus. He Greek too. Look at the time he reigned. 130, 129. See, these niggas is lingering around. And then you got Antigonus. You got Antigonus. Look at that. The Antigonus they have. Look at that. You got Antigonus. Look, it's Greek. Antigonus the Hasmonean was the last Hasmonean of King of Judah. But look, the word Antigonus. Show you what else is associated with. Now this is 1st century. Look at this. You have Antigonus again. But look at the time period. 382 to 301 BC. It predates the Antigonus of the Hasmonean, but it's a Greek name. So it's either these Greeks had strong influence over these nations, or these niggas is actually these people. The Idumeans could be Macedonians masking around as Greeks. I mean, as Jews. Look at this Antigonus. Look at the time period. Born in Macedonia. So you got these Macedonians that migrated south. By the time Alexander the Great come around, let me pull up my map. All this shit tie right back into Paul and them Edomites. We showing you the root and origin of where these Edomites come from by the name. The name is telling on themselves. The name is telling on themselves. Well, that's a killer right there. Right here. When we look. These the Macedonians. This is what we were just looking at. These are the Macedonians. Antipater and all those names came up out of the Macedonia. Ptolemy is Macedonians. They broke away from Macedonia, conquered Egypt. Now they down here. They in the south with it. Right? So by the time we get to Paul, we already have conversions of the Jews under Hyrcanus, 2nd century BC. Then we have the Romans giving citizenship to goddamn near everybody. 90 BC, he gave it to the Etruscans. 67 BC, he gave it to the Tarsus of Jews, the Jews in Tarsus. And then 42 BC under Julius Caesar, he gave it to the Idumeans, the Edomites, who had province over Judea. All this took place within this time period right here. So by the time Paul rolled around, him and his ancestry, they chilling, they good. They freeborn Romans. No, they ain't paying no taxes. He said, I ain't never been in bondage, all that stuff. That's coming out of Paul's mouth. Look at the Etruscans. Right here, 900 BC to 2700 BC. You remember Latin is what the Romans speak. And you remember Latin is directly from the Etruscan script. The same way Greek, archaic Greek, is a direct copy of the Phoenician script. See, we got it all right here. Going to the root. All this is coming out of the Dark Ages, after the collapse of the Mycenaean period. After the Mycenaean and the Minoans fell, Dark Ages came, Renaissance, archaic Greek rise up, Etruscans rise up, Macedonian rise up, Rome rise up, Persia rise up. Put it all on the timeline. Give me a one in the chat if y'all getting this understanding, family. It's a blood clot vibes. Yes, family, let's vibe out here. Run the rhythm. Question, what other Jews at the time had Roman citizenship? That was it. The Jews in Tarsus. The Jews in Tarsus had Roman citizenship. Right here. During this time, Pompey, 67 BC, Tarsus was made the capital over the Roman province of Cilicia, and the Jews began to receive Roman citizenship. The only time after that they got citizenship was with the Idumeans. The only time after that is with the Edomites. Yes, family, let me see the ones come true. Let me see the ones come true. Yes, family, we gonna vibe out. We gonna go ahead and vibe out for the rest of the night. You know what I mean? Peace and blessings, family. You know how we do. It's a blood clot vibes.
Bittersweet Herbals, where the taste is bitter, but the results are sweet. Bittersweetherbals.com. Bittersweet Herbals, where the taste is bitter, but the results are sweet. Bittersweetherbals.com.